The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Today on Aging Horizons, we have something really special for you. We're going to be talking to Marisol Martin. She's an AmeriCorps member who is serving in Montana at the Self-Help Law Centers. She's going to be telling us all about the AmeriCorps program and what amazing differences they make here in Montana, and all of the amazing services that are held at the Self-Help Law Center, where you can find one and how to get in contact with one. So make sure you stay tuned to today's Aging Horizons.
Hey caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
There's so much I want to do, like researching family history.
Sandra Gaskin, Bozeman.
And this time of year, there's never enough time to keep up with my garden. But what I really love to do with my respite time is to work on my latest quilting project.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
It's so fulfilling when all the pieces come together.
45 years, 2 packs a day. That's like $80,000. I thought I was just hurting myself until I fell asleep in a chair with a cigarette. The whole house went up, and I lost it all. I knew smoking was expensive, but I never thought it would cost me everything.
You mean I can get help paying my prescription drug premiums?
Let me get this straight. I could be eligible for help with my family's prescription premiums even though I own my own home?
And our assets won't be counted.
If you're a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you could be eligible for help paying your premiums. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out, even if you think you're over income.
What do you know about that? I'm eligible.
We get it. Life happens. We're Energy Share, a nonprofit that helps Montanans overcome energy emergencies. With statewide support from energy companies and individuals, we've helped over 70,000 families across Montana. No matter your situation, we'll help you keep your heat on. Learn more at EnergyShareMT.com.
Welcome to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Katie Lovell. Aging Horizons is brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. Today, we're speaking with Marisol Martin, who's an AmeriCorps member serving here in Montana, and she's going to be telling us all about the AmeriCorps program. Marisol, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Marisol, can you tell me a little bit about AmeriCorps? What is AmeriCorps?
Yeah, so AmeriCorps is a federal agency that has service programs throughout the country, and it covers like a wide array of different things. They have education-based, they have conservation-based, and public justice and access to justice-based. Everything from, I know people who do Meals on Wheels with it, I know people who are doing just like different justice-based volunteer programs. It's a really incredible opportunity.
So when someone signs up to be an AmeriCorps member, what sort of commitment does that mean?
A commitment for a full-term member is 11 months or 1,700 service hours.
Wow.
And in that you will get a living stipend, you will get health coverage, and at the end of the completion of 1,700 hours, you'll also get an education award that for you can either be used for student loans, it can be used for further college, or if you have children, it can be used for your children's college, which is a really nice benefit.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Who's eligible to become an AmeriCorps member?
Honestly, everyone is eligible to become an AmeriCorps member. There's so many different programs. I think a lot of people think about people right out of graduate or people who have just graduated college. They think that that's the best suit for them just because it is a really amazing opportunity to dive into like professional development. But
Sure.
There are programs for people of all ages. There's different amounts of how hands-on you're going to be as an AmeriCorps member. There's people working front lines and there's people doing, emergency work. There's people in the background just helping like build different programs up, and all ages, truly.
That's amazing. An AmeriCorps is truly a year of service. I mean, you receive a living stipend, but it's not a wage or anything like that, right?
It is not. It is enough to keep you here, and it's enough to, and they do offer health insurance, so it's enough to keep you here and keep you safe, but really it's a year dedicated to helping other people.
That's really amazing. Why does someone choose to go into AmeriCorps? Why did you choose to become an AmeriCorps member?
Truly, there are a lot of different reasons, and I do think that the Education Award is a really nice opportunity for those just out of college and getting their bachelor degree, but also it's an amazing chance to, honestly for me it was public service, because I did want to get out there and I wanted to do some work that I could feel was making a difference. But for other people, it is professional development. You gain so many skills, you learn how to public speak, and you get really good connections in the fields you're interested in. A lot of the people in my Justice for Montana program, they want to be lawyers. So we're talking with lawyers every day, we're talking with state officials, we're getting those connections that are really important. And then for people who are doing conservation efforts, I mean, they're doing groundwork. They're getting to really learn a lot about the science field. So I think it really depends what you're going in for, but there's a lot of different reasons why someone would want to do it.
That's wonderful. When you talk about the Justice for Montana program, that's a small subset of the AmeriCorps that are serving in Montana, correct?
Correct, yeah. So AmeriCorps will partner with different agencies and organizations that can provide these this help for people.
Sure.
So Justice for Montanans is just one of the very many. We have 23 members here in Montana serving throughout the state, but there are so many different organizations. There are a bunch of different environmental and conservation organizations in Montana. Montana loves their wildlife and they love their environment, so there's a lot on that. There's a lot on public health and education.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And what type of industries or organizations do the Justice for Montana members serve at?
Yeah, so we have a wide array throughout the state. We have the Montana Legal Services Association, which is a pro bono service throughout Montana for people who can't afford lawyers, either for consultations or someone to help them throughout their entire case. We have Legal Services Developer, which is for anyone over the age of 60 who needs legal information or advice. They help a lot with wills and estate and just preparing people and also protecting them from elder discrimination and being taken advantage of, which is unfortunately an aspect.
Sure.
And then we have what I do, which is the self-help law centers, where we provide people with information and assistance as well as resources if they cannot afford to represent themselves and they can't find an attorney in the area.
Wonderful. A lot of these members serve sort of under the umbrella or the idea of access to justice. Can you tell me a little bit about what is access to justice and what does that mean?
Yeah, so for Montana, that's the mission, to making sure that everyone has the information and the resources to be able to be part of our justice system.
Sure.
Because of Montana, there are not as many lawyers as we would love to have here, just because it is pretty rural in some areas.
Yeah.
So having all of these resources and systems set up allows people to be able to still have power in their role, which is really lovely.
Yeah, and that I'm sure helps the folks that can't afford to hire a private attorney.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you decided to look at AmeriCorps, why did you choose Montana?
Truthfully, I went for the program before I really looked at the location.
Sure.
I was excited about going somewhere away from the Midwest because I was from Ohio and Indiana in that area. And I just kind of always thought of Montana as like a mythical place. So and then I connected with the people who did this program, and everything they told me about it made me fall in love with it. So it was kind of, I had to go.
Montana is just an added benefit.
Yeah, it is.
Wonderful. All right, when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing at the Self-Help Law Centers. When we return, we're going to talk about an organization that exists in Montana called the Montana Self-Help Law Centers. And they exist to help lower income Montanans access the justice system in ways that they don't have normally the benefit of doing. So that would be things like forms, it'd be getting legal information. It's about helping you understand where you are in the process and how do you get to your next step. So make sure you stay tuned to Aging Horizons because we'll be right back.
When I found out it was diabetes, my first thought was, Barb, you need help. You have to take control of this. There is help. My doctor gave me a phone number. I called and signed up with a diabetes educator. There is help. I have to put blinders on when I walk past the bakery counter. I can feel my blood sugar go up. You succeed a little at a time. If you have diabetes, help is available. You do not have to do it alone.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hey, caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
20-year-old twins with special needs takes a lot of wrangling. So sometimes a trip to the grocery store without having to worry about the boys can feel like a mini vacation.
Tori Allard, Billings.
We also own a DJ company, and there's always something going on there that needs attention.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
The small things in life can make a huge difference. Thank you, Respite Care.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support. I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
Welcome back to Aging Horizons. Today we're speaking with Marisol Martin, who is serving her AmeriCorps term here in Montana, and she is working at the Self-Help Law Centers. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means. Marisol, the Self-Help Law Centers, not only is it hard for me to say, it doesn't really describe the work that you do. So tell me a little bit about what a Self-Help Law Center is.
Yeah, of course. So Self-Help Law Centers, they're throughout Montana, and they have been organized by the Supreme Court to help anyone who is pro se or a self-represented person, someone without a lawyer, get the resources and information to make them the most successful they can be when it comes to the legal process. And in turn, it also makes the courts run a little bit smoother when they have someone giving them the information they need to go into court prepared and ready.
Wonderful. Is it civil law? Is it criminal law? What part of the law are we working at?
Yeah, of course. So we only do civil law.
Okay.
We don't do traffic violations. That is something that people do get confused about a time or two, but yeah, we do civil law. Mostly I'm dealing with divorces, with parenting plans, with estates, that kind of stuff.
So a lot of times it's folks that have never had any contact with the justice system before this moment. Where are the Self-Help Law Centers located?
Yeah, of course. So we have 6 right now, one in Kalispell, one in Great Falls, one in Missoula, one in Helena, one in Billings, and one in Bozeman.
Wonderful. And there are people there that you can come in and see?
Yes, those are, everyone except for Kalispell and Billings are going to go ahead and be walk-in centers too, so you can come in whenever you feel the need to. The other 2, you would call ahead and get an appointment, and they're all chances, and even if you can't walk in and get an appointment, you can either call them or email them, and they can set up a Zoom or, yeah.
That's wonderful. And then there are AmeriCorps members serving in some of those sites, correct?
Yes, so I believe 5 out of the 6 of the sites there are AmeriCorps members serving, and in 3 of them there are also full-time people there.
Oh, facilitators.
Facilitators, yes.
Wonderful. What services can someone expect to receive when they come into a Self-Help Law Center?
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 major services that we provide. It's either resources and attorney referrals, which for us is MLSA, the pro bono program that AmeriCorps is also a part of, or it's help with forms. So a lot of the times people will come in and they will need a parenting packet, which is what you need if you and your partner have split up and you want to decide who gets custody. So they'll come in and they'll tell me what the situation is, and I'll print out that packet for them, and we'll go through the whole thing. And I'll just kind of explain, because it can get a little complicated. As much as these forms try to avoid legal jargon, it can't be avoided all the time.
Absolutely.
So we just provide a little extra assistance.
Does someone have to know what form they need when they walk in the door, or is that something you can help people figure out?
If they can tell me what action they want done in very clear terms, I can print something out for them, but it's always a little bit of a battle because we can give legal information, we can't give legal advice. I'm not an attorney, None of the members at any of the centers are attorneys, so we can't go into what would be legal advice or like what you should do. We can give them options for what they can do, and then they have to pick from there.
What's the difference between legal advice and legal information?
Yeah, so for instance, I can tell them where to find Montana Code, which is all of the laws, and
Sure.
I can print out, if they say they're having tenant problems, I can print out everything on tenant law. I cannot then go and tell them what parts stick out to them because I'm not an attorney, or I can't tell them what words to use. I don't know what words are best for them.
Sure.
So yeah.
So anytime that you would have to make a determination based on their specific set of circumstances, that would be legal advice.
Yeah, it's whenever I have to give my opinion in a way that's not needed.
Sure, and I bet people ask you for that all the time.
Daily.
What type of issues are people facing when they come to the centers most often?
Most often, I will say it changes by season. I've been getting a lot of eviction right now.
Oh, sure.
Eviction law in Montana has been a very prevalent part of my job in a way I wasn't expecting, which is really interesting. Eviction, divorce or dissolution as they call it, parenting plans, and then also just estate and probate.
Lots of questions about those, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. When someone needs to reach out to a center, can they call? Can they email? How do people find out if there's even a center in their community?
Yeah, of course. So if you go on the court's website, which is courts.mt.gov, they have either our phone number and our email, and there's also a form you can fill out, and you can tell us what you need, and we can go ahead and send that. We are in the office Monday through Friday, usually between the hours of 8 and 5, and you usually get a call back within less than 5 hours.
That's wonderful. So folks just have just a general legal information question, like, does a will need to be notarized, or where can I find this section of the code? Are those things that the self-help law members can help with?
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a really nice added benefit that at least the one in Helena, we have 2 notaries, so we can go ahead and we can do that there, and also they can make copies for free at our centers, which can be a very big financial burden, and we can let them know about the fee waiver, which not everybody knows about before coming in, which can help them pay for some of those filing fees at the court.
Tell me a little bit about the filing fee waiver. What does that mean?
Yeah, so based off of income, they can, or if they receive any benefits, they can have a waiver so that they do not have to pay the fees of filing, which depending on what you file is $60 to $120, depending on where and when you file.
So that can be hugely beneficial for folks.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a lot of times you have to file, right? Maybe you're responding to something and then you would still have to pay that filing.
Yeah, the burden is still on you to pay the filing fee unless you get that fee waiver, which is really nice.
That's really wonderful. I heard you say that a lot of what you do is helping people fill out the forms, and I imagine it took a while to learn how to do that.
Yeah, the forms, even for me, the first time I saw them, there's just a lot to them. For instance, the parenting plan with dissolution with children, that's 106 pages. That is a lot to go through. That is a lot of property to figure out how to distribute, and a lot of different forms with different interesting names. So I completely understand why people need that extra push. It can get really, really overwhelming.
Absolutely. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the forms that are available at the Self-Help Law Center and why it's so important to reach out for assistance when you're completing those forms, because you don't want to make a mistake on some of these really important documents. So make sure you stay tuned to Aging Horizons.
Receiving help for Ella has been life-changing, and the best word for it is relief. I was the therapist, I was the aide, and I couldn't be the mom because emotionally you're just to your wits' end, you're trying to survive.
I provide care for the Harrises, specifically their daughter Ella. Respite care is extremely challenging, but the rewards that you receive from it are 100 times more than working with a child that doesn't have special needs. Once they get something, it's everything. It's you celebrate. You don't just enjoy those moments. You celebrate every moment that you get, that you guided them to that next step.
Respite. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. Will you provide it? Call 800-224-6034 or visit respite.mt.gov.
It went from survival to enjoying life and being able to be a mom again.
Brought to you by the Montana Broadcasters and this station.
You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Welcome back to Aging Horizons. Today we've been talking with Marisol Martin. She's an AmeriCorps member serving here in Montana, and she's been telling us all about the amazing work that the Self-Help Law Centers do and AmeriCorps across Montana are doing. Marisol, when we last talked, we were talking a little bit about those forms, and you mentioned that 106-page form. What sort of training did you and the other AmeriCorps members receive to sort of go to learn how to do that sort of information?
Yeah, of course. So we had 2 different branches of orientation. The first one was week-long, and it was with all of the Justice for Montana members, all 23 of us. That's where we learned about the history of AmeriCorps, the importance of serving, as well as just basic information about Montana.
Sure.
We did everything from learning about all of the different reservations in the area to learning how to use bear spray.
Wonderful.
So that went through and kind of taught us all about that. And then the last 3 days, we got to go with our specific sites, and we got to learn all about our specific forms. So for us, the Self-Help Law Center, we all met and we actually all went through a parenting plan together. And so we all filled it out for ourselves, and we got to go through it and ask as many questions, which is essentially what we do with all of the people who come in. So it was really nice because we then got to ask the questions that we knew they would have.
Sure.
So we could get prepped a little bit for it.
Was that an intimidating process at first?
It was so intimidating. The person training us came around with these big manila envelopes, and you take out a 106-page packet. I couldn't imagine someone getting through this, especially when they're going through something difficult, also having to sit down and do all this paperwork.
I imagine that the people that you deal with are often going through something that's really difficult in their own life, maybe dealing with some trauma. How do you work with folks that are maybe in crisis or feeling really upset when they finally get to you?
Yeah, of course. We have people in just all stages of what they're going through, so it's really important to listen to where they're at, and a lot of the times they just need to be heard.
Sure.
And they need someone to be able to sit down with them and tell them next steps of what they can do. So something that's really helpful I've seen is being able to sit down with them and say, this is what needs to be filed now, this is the list of everything that's going to happen in the legal process, and just like having those clear steps, I think it helps them focus in on something. But even then, I mean, yeah, it's just a lot of listening and hearing what they need and understanding why they're frustrated.
Sure. When someone is going to respond or going to file one of these documents, a dissolution or a parenting plan, what sort of information do they need to think about or come prepared with before they fill out the forms?
Yeah, before they fill out the forms, I mean, I think they have to know what they want, especially when it comes to parenting plans. A lot of people will come in and they'll say, I want to respond to this, but they won't know exactly what they want yet. So. Sure. Having time to think about what the courts are going to agree with, what's going to be best for the children, I think is always best. As well as just for any of those, coming prepared when you come in with any forms that you might need, especially for estate planning. We have a lot of people who you need to bring all of the forms and you need to bring all of the certificates with us so that we can begin helping you. So yeah.
And I imagine that there are some times where people are responding to something. Is it helpful for you to see the paperwork that they've received from the court or from the other party?
Yes, especially when they don't know what they're responding to or they don't know what to file next. Being able to pull up the last thing they received helps us be able to find out what they are responding to, sure. As well as, I mean, simple things like case number. The case number is going to stay the same and they can use that from the last one, or finding out who's the defendant, who's the respondent. All of those kind of confusing questions can be answered when they bring in that paperwork.
And I imagine there are sometimes deadlines and that people have to abide by when they're receiving things from the court or are supposed to be responding from the court. Is that contained in that paperwork that they would have received?
That is often contained in the paperwork, or it can be found on the court's website, which is really helpful when you're going through these packets. A lot of them will say how many days you have to respond, and for the party who issued it, how many days until they respond that you can go on with the next step if they don't.
Wonderful. Who can receive services at a self-help law center?
Absolutely everyone. I've met so many different types of people coming in, people who have tried doing lawyers in the past, or people who just were never able to get the legal services they need. And sometimes they aren't even asking for a lawyer. Sometimes they're, at the end of the day, asking for something that we can't help with, but at least we have the resources to get them where they need to go.
Sure, and even being told you need to go X, Y, or Z is a really helpful service for a lot of people. Can you assist both parties in a situation? If someone walks in on one day and then their former partner walks in the next, can you assist both parties?
I will say often I don't have enough information to know that both parties are, so I do go ahead and I will help both, just because most of the time they don't tell me all of the details. That's another part of it, is we don't have to know all the details to be able to help you with your next step. So.
And would you say that the centers are an intimidating place to go, or do you think they're pretty easy to chat with?
They are pretty laid back. We're pretty good to get along with, I would say.
That's wonderful. I imagine, especially for folks that this is the first time they've ever encountered the court system at all, it can be really scary.
I think it's helpful that a lot of the members are AmeriCorps, and that we're pretty new to this too. And so it's pretty understandable, these questions, because we had them less than 6 months ago.
Right. Yeah. You've really gone through the forms yourself and had to really ask those questions.
All of the questions, they make sense because I asked them as well.
Sure. Let's just go over one more time. Where are the centers located?
Yeah, of course. So we have one center in Helena, Great Falls, Missoula, Billings, Bozeman, and Kalispell.
Wonderful. And when folks want to find a center, find their hours, find their address, where can they go to get that information?
Yeah, you'll go to the courts.mt.gov website, or you can just Google, Montana Courts website, and it'll take you right to it. And on that, you'll see self-help in the corner, and you can click on that, and it'll give you all of our information. It'll also show you all the forms that you might need.
So you don't have to go to a center to get the forms?
No, absolutely not. And if you are someone who wants them mailed to you instead of emailed, you can go ahead and contact the Helena Center, and we can mail any of those out.
That's wonderful, especially for folks who maybe don't even have internet access.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on Aging Horizons and telling us a little bit about the work that you do, and also for doing your service here in Montana. We appreciate it.
Of course, I love it.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for staying tuned with us to Aging Horizons. I hope you learned a little bit about the self-help law centers, and that know that they're a wonderful resource if you are facing a civil legal issue that you don't have the answers to. You can come in, you can call, you can email, and there are really wonderful folks like Marisol at all of these centers that you can get this information from, and it isn't a scary place. There's wonderful people that can really give you that information. So thank you for staying tuned to Aging Horizons, and we'll see you next week.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.